So, occasionally when we come across some of those cars that are just so good that you just want to constantly drive them and not make a video about them. You just want to drive.
Yeah, I know. There's been a few.
Yeah.
There's been a few.
This is one of those cars. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today we're going to be looking at the Ferrari F1 Concept by Virtua Simulazioni. And this is a very interesting car because it doesn't exist in real life.
It's merged, isn't it? It's an F1 car, concept car,
and their own
ideas.
Yeah. It's a very difficult car to describe in terms of a real sense because, like we said, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's a Ferrari concept that did come out, I think in February 2015. Ferrari came out with this concept of what will an F1 car of the future look like, and they came out with something that's similar to this. And Virtua Simulazioni, the team there, had a look at it and thought, this is interesting. This is something we can work with. And so they did. And just recently they released this, which is the Ferrari F1 Concept by Virtua Simulazioni with their own little bits and bobs on it. And it's a fantastic car.
Yeah, I mean, like all Ferraris, it is very good looking.
Can
we call it a Ferrari though? Because it's...
Yes, because it was
what I'm saying is it's someone ideas. I mean, Ferrari wouldn't approve this car, would they?
I think they would, because Ferrari themselves, in most of it, I'd say 90% of it was designed by Ferrari themselves.
Okay.
While it's just the 10%, most notably around the back end of the car, where it was
the spoiler.
Yeah, even the rear diffuser and that, which was designed by the great guys at Virtua Simulazioni, just to sort of make it a concept more reality. Because when you see a concept car and then you see the actual final model, it's always somewhat different.
Well, was that the rev? Wow, I just noticed the red the stripes on the side. That is pretty impressive.
Yep. Well, I think let's go through its specs first, which are equally as impressive. And we'll go on to the mod info, then we'll go on to talking about the red stuff on the side.
Yeah, okay. 1,000 brake, just standard.
Yeah, 1000 bhp, that's 780 from the engine, plus 220 from its energy recovery system. So it does have an energy recovery system in it. And that does give 1,430 brake horsepower per ton, which is a powerful car.
It's a pretty light car then, 700 kg, isn't
That's heavy for an F1 car.
But it's not an F1 car.
But it is an F1 car. That's the thing. It's going to be this debate the whole way through, isn't it? Is it or is it not an F1 car? It is pretty heavy for an F1 car, but then again, for an F1 car of the future, who knows?
For a concept car, it's not.
For a concept car, it's not.
I mean, talking not F1 car, but I'm just talking,
Yeah, it's not. It's very difficult now to really class this as any sort of car. But it is it does have a 75-degree 3-litre V12 turbocharged.
75 degree.
That's the angle between the V.
Oh.
So normally it's 90 degrees.
Okay.
These 75 degrees, which means it's a lot narrower because it's a more acute angle, so you can fit it in a smaller engine bay. Oddly enough, I think the V10s in 1996 had something like 72 degrees.
Okay.
I mean, a really odd number like that. 75 makes more sense. And it's got 436 Newton meters of torque, which it's not a lot. It's more than the old F1 cars, but it's not as much as the current F1 cars.
Surprising.
That is a bit of a surprise, considering it's got turbo and ERS and all of that. So that was slightly surprising.
And it pushes out. Well, it does 0 to 62, is it? 0 to 62 in 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, which is fairly quick. You're not gonna. I don't think you can really get much faster than that. If you had 0 to 60 in, like, let's say a second, you'd be struggling. F1 drivers would be struggling. Yeah. But it does rev up to 14,000 RPM, which I was happy about.
But will it go that far though?
What?
14,000.
Oh yeah. Later on in the video, you'll see me pushing it up to 14. You can see here I'm shifting it around 12,000.
Yeah.
But I do push it up to 14,000, and it does go up there without an issue.
And top speed 220 miles an hour.
Yep, and it's an 8-speed sequential gearbox, which is, I guess that's taken from this current year. And the other thing is, of course, what's really important to remember is that this was a concept design. It was nothing but a design from Ferrari. There was no specs given, no speeds, no physics, nothing like that, no aerodynamics. The team here have gone and worked all this out from scratch. This is in in fact a fictional car.
Should we talk about the team first?
Go for it.
Yeah, we talk about. I mean, well, the name that sticks out first, Never Crash for Sounds.
Yeah, and then again, you know, when I first heard these sounds, I thought it's got to be. I really thought straight away it's got to be Never Crash.
Yeah.
But you've also got David Dominguez. I cannot say his name.
Dominguez.
Yeah. And Edward Malaki on physics. And you know what? They've done a good job.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a bit.
I'm gonna let you run through the names here because I think I'm gonna make a complete picture of it.
I think I'm gonna probably make mistakes here. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your names wrong. Andrea Iskro, Juuso Tapaninen. Yep.
Yeah.
Rick Ney, Simon Tech. You guys were the artists. So what you see here, it's their work. There, you've got Gary Vale on textures. So you know what, and we will talk about the textures, which are absolutely fantastic again. Joel Ratavara is a community representative, and Filippo Tocco was the expert advisor. So it's a good team. These names have all cropped up before in other mods we've tested. Maybe not together, but some of them here and there, you know, they've cropped up, and we see the quality of some of their mods. It's absolutely brilliant. So the mod itself is 161 meg when zipped, so it's pretty big when zipped, but amazingly it's only 390 meg once it's installed, so it's not a huge mod. I mean, you know, remember we had a couple of mods that were almost a gig in size. Yeah. This isn't. There is something really strange about it though, is that there are variants to this car.
Yeah, so just reading that, open and closed cockpit variants.
Yeah, so you can actually have a glass cockpit around it, and you can just download this customization file and then just install it. And you can have a closed cockpit, you can have an open cockpit, and you might have just seen, if you guys are paying attention to the display there, the display just changed. We're going to talk about that in a bit as well.
I was very, very impressed with that.
But it is, like I said, based off that F1 concept that was revealed in February 2015, and 9 liveries are supplied, or 9 Ferrari liveries are supplied, which is Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, Niki Lauda's.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
It looks good.
Yeah,
it really does look good. It's got basically the old style, so with the green, white and red stripe, and it does look really good. And then they've got Rosso Corsa, which is what I'm driving in right now.
Is that the standard, isn't it?
That's basically the standard Ferrari colour, that bright red Ferrari colour is Rosso Corsa. And you've got grey, white, yellow and black. The black one does look impressive. It's got this really fine pattern on it, and it's just really, really cool. And then you've got Virtua Simulazioni's own livery, which you remember with the McLaren MP413, they gave it the same thing. Okay. So that looks pretty nice as well. Then you can download an additional competition pack from them, which gives you the Lotus livery, the Lotus green livery.
I'm just reading it right now.
The Red Bull livery, the McLaren livery, both the silver Vodafone one and the concept one they came up with, the BMW Sauber livery, the Mercedes livery, which looks pretty good, the Yoshi livery, and the Wipeout livery. Now, I've got to say that the Wipeout livery was incredible on looks. The chrome, the design on there, it was just shines out amongst everything. And that's an additional 221 meg. So that's pretty high quality textures there. So that's all the mod information.
I tell you what, after you finish that, I'm going to say, let's just get the bug out of the way, because you noticed it, I didn't notice it.
Okay.
The only bug that we've seen so far is, but on the actual steering wheel, it says, instead of having miles an hour per hour, it says got kilometers per hour?
Yeah, kilometers per hour, despite us using miles per hour. Yeah. That's the only bug. Of course, if you use kilometers per hour, you're not going to notice this because it says kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
So that's the only bug we noticed. Now that that's out the way, let's just get into this car. Modeling.
Yeah, I was going to start with modeling because I think that's where it all starts from. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The way it's all done, the car itself. I'm actually looking at 10 at the moment.
I can't say anything. Actually, no, I'm not looking at a 10. I'm looking at an 11. Yeah. It's so good. You can see the concept. You can see the concept on which it's based. Yeah. When you look online at the Ferrari F1 Concept, you can see that it is based on this concept. However, you can also see all the changes that they have done to make it sort of race-worthy. You know, small changes here and there. Like I said, notably at the back end, there's some changes on the car, so that you would imagine this car would be able to race in an F1 on an F1 grid. It just looks so cool. Okay, It's not as pretty as some of the F1 cars. I will admit, I don't like the double wing that Ferrari came up with, that design. But that being said, it's still a looker.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I'm looking at right now an F1 car. The only gripe I've got with it, and you mentioned this as well, is the buttons, but the lack of buttons.
The lack of buttons that were modelled on the steering wheel. Normally we see, we're used to seeing more
20,
buttons,
20,
switches, and knobs here.
Yeah.
A lever around one side, a button here, a knob there, a switch here. None of that's there. In fact, you can just see there's two. You've got the two paddles, and then you've got two little rotary switches on each handle. But that's about it.
Maybe it's all going touchscreen now.
Oh, that would be horrible for Can you imagine with the vibrations of the car? You try and touch something, brake bias up. Oh no, just put your engine on lean.
Yeah.
That would be horrible. But the car does look futuristic. I think you'll agree.
Yeah,
and it does look very nice. If that is the future of F1, I don't mind it. I really don't mind a car looking like that if that's the future of F1. Did find it a little bit wide. I did have to be a little bit careful. It seemed a little wider than
do you think that's the tyres though that make it even wide? It looks wider with the tyres.
No, I think the car generally is quite wide. Formula One cars are wide anyway, but that's that. But I'm not complaining about that. And they've got a new level of detail usage, and this is pretty good because they gave seamless level of detail switching in the replays, which I thought was really impressive because it was an Assetto Corsa bug. That there was a slight glitch on the level of detail. They worked their way around it. So that's impressive. Now we'll go to texturing. Texturing. Outstanding. I think, just when we talked about the size of the competition pack.
Yeah. The thing that sticks out the most with texturing is that exhaust glow.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know that's probably your main, part of it. But I'm going to say it first and foremost. That is the best part of.
And oddly enough, it's the part that you can't see when you're driving because it's behind you.
Yeah.
But they've worked on this exhaust glow, which is actually temperature, or not temperature based per se, but
accelerate.
It's based on the acceleration.
Yeah.
So the harder you accelerate, the more the exhaust glows. And I've seen it. I checked this because I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it, and it glows. It actually glows red hot. That's incredible.
It goes from a sort of orange mid, and then sort of just goes red, and
it's just so cool. And the detailing on every single livery is absolutely phenomenal. And on the inside of the cockpit as well, if you look around the mirror, it's not really a mirror, but the rear view display, you can just see that it just fades out to black just on the edges. It's just so cool. You've got the carbon fiber, you can see it, you can see the bump mapping, the carbon fiber textures on the inside of the wheels, the tires themselves. It's so cool. The little details on the car itself that make it look like an F1 car. And then you've got the steering wheel, which that was just so perfectly timed. As you can see, I've just switched through. There are two modes, and you press the headlight button and it switches between these two modes. One shows the RPM, lap time, energy, battery usage, all that kind of stuff. Then you switch to this, and it's got a damage indicator in the middle. It's got your, what gear you're in. It's got your throttle inputs. It's got your lap delta. It's got your RPMs. It's got all that kind of stuff. And you can switch to and from this.
So
how cool is that?
I've just been looking at the rear view mirror, and I'm trying to work out the silver lines, and I was so impressed with it.
It's really nice.
It's really good.
It's absolutely incredible. I like that cockpit. Yeah. Like I said, if it had more buttons, it'd be even better. But as it is, and you've got the red. Rev limits
that is my favourite part of it.
That is absolutely incredible as well. Absolutely incredible. Moving on to the sounds. It's the V12, and the sound. There isn't much to say about the sounds because they're bang on perfect. Yeah. We've heard V12s.
Yeah.
We grew up with V12s and V10 engines in Formula One. We know what they're supposed to sound like.
It's old school, but with a modern twist.
Yeah, I mean you can hear the turbo whine clearly inside the car, but outside it's almost drowned out by the roar of this. And you've got the gear change noises, which are absolutely solid. Everything about it is just perfection. That sound. If you close your eyes and listen to that sound, especially in the replay, you'd think you're watching a real F1 race. Put it up loud enough and you probably think you're actually trackside.
Yeah,
it's that good. And now, obviously, the way to finish this off always is talking about the physics. But there was a slight problem, is that there's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah. If you actually talk about the car, the actual real-life car itself.
Yeah,
we can't.
We can't.
Yeah, we can't compare it to anything.
But I mean, it did feel like an F1 car. That's the point. Though. In comparison to all of the F1 cars we've driven, it felt like an F1 car. It seemed to handle like an F1 car. It did push towards high-speed understeer in the default setup, and then afterwards, after I recorded this video, I took it out of S.p.A. and I played around with its camber and toe and suspension settings, you know, the rebound and all that kind of stuff, soften up the suspension or, you know, whatever I was doing with it, and it became so much more alive and agile in the high-speed corners, so it's easy to dial that out, that understeer. Absolutely piece of cake.
I mean, one thing you did say was it's not as fast as F1 cars in the past.
That's, yeah. I mean, I think it was as fast as maybe 2009's cars, which were fairly fast.
Yeah.
But it was, when I saw this car, I thought, oh, this is going to be, you know, competing for the fastest F1 cars of all time, 2004. But it wasn't. It was you know, it was some seconds off the pace of that kind of F1 car. But it was still faster than now.
Yeah, I still think we can't compare it though with times.
I don't think we can. It's different.
Yeah.
It's very different. The most important part though is it's fun to drive. It is very fun to drive. Like I said, the speed was a little disappointing, but you have to work the car. You really have to work the car to be able to get the lap times. I mean, in this video, I'm not working it to the max, I'll be honest. Maybe I was probably driving it maybe 90%. Yeah, I didn't go 100. I never generally go 100 on these videos, just in case I crash every lap, because they'll just make a bad video. But you will notice that I didn't crash once on this, which, and considering this is my absolute first time in the car, it was quite surprising. But that's just to do with the amount of downforce that was on this car.
Your force feedback?
Absolutely fantastic. It was refined. I could feel the bumps, and it was heavy. You know, it was heavy. It felt like I was driving a car that was pushing down on the ground. I felt the tyres pushing into the ground, and that was impressive.
But I've noticed one thing: the force feedback is always good on all F1 type cars.
Yeah, that is generally true.
When I say F concept, I'm more leaning towards F1 now.
Yeah,
because you know.
I mean, what I did like on the force feedback, one particular thing is there's a little bump that I've never noticed out of Chapel. So you got Magnet Beckers in the Chapel corner. I've never noticed this bump on the outside. It's a very tiny bump. I know it's there because I've walked the track in real life, and I knew it was there, and I never ever noticed it in here because I thought, oh, okay, then the car just goes over, it's fine. I noticed it in this car. When I hit that bump, I felt it in the force feedback ever so slightly. I just felt the left rear slightly give way.
Is that the level of detail of the track or the car?
I think it's a combination of it all together.
Okay.
You know, the car being able to respond to these tiny bumps. So really, I think we've got maybe another lap after this. This is like my penultimate lap. What can we rate this car?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my first thing and say a 10. I can't really fault it.
We can't, apart from that one tiny bug.
Yeah, but
there's nothing to fault.
It's not really a bug, is it? It's just it's a bug, but it's not a bug.
The thing is, they're gonna fix that.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to.
It's something so minor that we can oversee it.
You're not going to notice it. I mean, can you really notice it on the screen right now unless you actually physically look at the KMH? You can't really notice it. So you're saying a 10. I'm saying a 10.
Okay.
I think there's just.
We don't give much 10s out, do we?
No, we normally give. We normally give 9s, 9.5. 9, 8, 9, 9.5. We've even given a 9.8 before. Not really given 10s across the board.
It'd be good to see what our viewers think.
Yeah, it definitely would. And like I said, download link will be in the description box below. This is a car that's a must download. It sounds great. It drives great. It feels great.
And it looks great.
It looks absolutely fantastic. And with that, there is actually one thing that I'm going to do. Someone left a comment on our video. Right. Actually, just when I was looking at what car to review this week, someone left a comment and said, try this car out. I said, yep. And then they said, try it out at a certain corner, which happens to be on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. So what I'm going to do is at the end of this lap, I'm going to let you guys just watch this and just see the reaction of the car on this corner, because it's absolutely hilarious. I'll tell you something, if NASA want a new way to send astronauts to the moon, I think we found it. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope you enjoy the rest of this lap, and we hope you enjoy that little hilarious clip afterwards. We'll see you next week.